Today on CityCast Philly, it's the Friday News Roundup. We're talking about how the Philadelphia Eagles throwback Kelly Green uniforms campaign was leaked days ahead of schedule, fans' reactions to the nostalgic 90s gear, and Temple University's new sports logo. Plus, we'll highlight a new exhibit displaying Philly's connections to baseball history. It's Friday, August 4th. I'm Trinae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Joining me this week is John Barchard, CityCast Philly sports contributor and co-host of Bell and the Birdman podcast. Hey, John.
Hey, Trinae, how are you?
Good. Jason Nieves, sports social media manager at Temple News. Hey, Jason.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We got a lot of folks in here today. Brian Michael, owner of Shibe Vintage Sports. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
And Isaac Avalucia, reporter at Axios Philadelphia. Hey, Isaac.
Good morning, Trinae. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, so for this week's icebreaker, there was news this week that the Mega Millions has climbed to Mega Billions, $1.25 billion after no one hit the lottery. And according to the Associated Press, Tuesday night's drawing is the 30th straight drawing without a winner. So my question for y'all is, if you hit the lottery tonight, Friday, what would you do with all that money?
I've always wanted to go to law school, so I guess that would be made very easy, right?
Yeah.
Just pay for it in one shot, and I wouldn't have to save up little by little. But I think I don't want to end up like all these other lottery winners who end up dead flat broke in a few years. So I think I would just hold on to my money and invest it.
That's a good plan. What about for you, Jason?
Yeah, I would also probably say the same thing, looking to just invest and save as much as possible, but also try my best to use the money, maybe actually get a Kelly Green jersey. Use my influence at that point.
That. All right, Brian, how are you going to spend your money?
I'm going to have to disagree. I'm getting a boat, and you're all invited, and it's going to be big, and we're having a party, and I'm going to blow most of that money. But it's so much that I can save some and spend some, and it'll be great. Yeah.
I love it. John, what about you? If you hit the lottery.
Yeah, I'm going to take 100 of the Steagles t-shirts that Brian sells because they're awesome.
Yeah.
And then probably I'm going to join him on the boat, but I'm not going to party on the boat. What I'll do is I'll probably just bring like a helicopter to the boat, and then we'll just drop off all these legendary sports figures. And I really like the idea of that we can all be an influence to get a Kelly Green jersey. And truthfully, I probably won't talk to anybody. I'll be on a farm somewhere deep in Wyoming, and I'll write a letter via pigeon to make sure to let you guys know I'm okay. That's probably my goal.
I love it. Honestly, I haven't started playing the lottery since inflation went up. So I'm going to do the typical things, buy my mom a house, have a college fund for the kids, buy a couple of cars and give some to charity. Okay, so let's talk about some big news this week. The Eagles released the iconic Kelly Green jerseys, a color that the team hasn't worn since the 90s. This is going to be the alternative uniform that the Birds are going to wear during Week 7 against Miami and Week 12 against Buffalo. Before we get into some of the drama around this, what are your all's thoughts on actually bringing back the Kelly Green?
I think it's smart. Kelly Green's always been one of the more popular sellers at our stores, and people love it. They love the nostalgia. They love Buddy Ryan, even though they didn't go anywhere in the playoffs. They just love that attitude and what it means. So I think it's definitely smart, and as you've seen, it's in really high demand.
Yes, Brian. Anybody else?
I mean, I always find it like Philly never ceases to amaze me, surprise me, and I find the infatuation with Kelly Green to just be hilarious, right? We got people literally calling out of work, standing in line at 3 a.m. just to get a chance to get one of those Kelly Green jerseys. I mean, where else in America does that really happen? There are some big sports cities, but I don't think anyone is bigger than Philly. And like, it's not acceptable anywhere else to call out of work to go get a jersey, but in here, It's not only accepted, it's encouraged.
Yeah, if you call out of work, you're getting the whole office jerseys too. Everyone wants one.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I am one of those idiots that not only stood there at 4 a.m., but organized the tailgate to be the seventh person in line to do so.
Oh, John, of course you did.
And I'm not like an obsessed jersey. I'm not a person. I'm not a sneakerhead person, but Kelly Green is just my catnip. Okay. Like it is between that and the Eagle. I've been waiting for this forever. And to be honest, it's the middle of, dead middle of July, end of July. We were all bored. And I just said, if we're going to do this tailgate, well, we're going to do it with my friend Allison, who makes Jello shots every time we come out. And then it kind of turned into a party. And then the next thing you know, 700 people showed up. So,
and that was a Monday, right?
Yeah. And they tweeted it out. I was like, guys, what are you doing? So I don't know. I am one of the proud idiots that stood out there at 3 a.m. with all the other people calling out of work.
Awesome. Okay. Now, Isaac, catch us up. So Monday, folks were out in long lines trying to get a jersey. Some people, went online to get their jerseys, but then they got the notice that they won't be able to get their gear until like the end of October. So there's tons of back orders. And all of this frenzy had to do with one fan in West Virginia.
Yeah, absolutely. The Eagles had been teasing these jerseys for quite some time, I think a little bit over a year, if not longer. And, it comes down to the gun. And here we are on Saturday morning, and this super fan from West Virginia named Brandon Winston, he just got off a long overnight shift as a chemical mixer, wakes up Saturday morning. He's actually on the Eagles app scrolling, looking for tickets to the home opener against Minnesota. And he tells me he just intuitively, he clicks on this tab that's actually no longer on the app, Go Green. It's usually synced up with the Eagles recycling initiative. Happens to click on that, and boom, what pops up other than the Kelly Green jerseys? He gets a picture of Jalen Hurts staring right back at him, along with all these other Eagles players wearing the jerseys. He's thinking at this point, the release is until Monday. Maybe they made it public early. He grabs a bunch of screenshots of these images, sends it to a bunch of his friends and fellow fans, actually posted on the one of the private Facebook's Bird Gang, and he gets the swiftest, starkest reaction you could imagine. Everybody comes back with him. Where the F did you get these?
Right. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then what was the response from the Philadelphia Eagles front office?
Yeah, no, they basically waited an hour or so, and then they knew they were had, right? These were legitimate photos. So they kind of made light of it. They posted a few different tweets. One of them I thought was funny. It's a GIF of Jalen Hurts shrugging his shoulders and saying, "Internet's undefeated," right? Don't steal the playbook.
It's insane. Oh my gosh. Well, it's kind of like, hey, it's your fault that this happened. All right, I want to talk about another top story. I have to put the disclaimer out there. I've said it before. I am a proud Temple Owl. Woohoo! So, Jason, I want to talk about the new Temple University sports logo that was released this week. You report that Temple Athletics will have this new logo, and it will serve as a secondary logo for the rest of the university. Can you describe what the logo looks like?
Yes, so it's a combination of a lot of the previous features. It has the standout additional T right in the middle, and then the owl's outstretched arms rubbing around it with a nice diamond shape to kind of border it all. And I think it's a great design, and it highlights a lot of the past and the modern future, which Temple Athletics as a whole is really looking to advance to.
Now, and I noticed that they have the classic Temple T, which is iconic for our university. Why did the university want to update the logo and update the owl?
Yes, I think as a whole, just athletics is really looking to take a big step forward with a lot of head coaching changes, particularly I know Brian Green for men's soccer as well as Adam Fisher for men's basketball. So as a whole, they're trying to push sports in a new direction to really start to improve. And with that comes a new look logo wise. And I think this is a great idea.
Awesome. Now, has anyone else seen the Temple logo? What are your thoughts? Is this a good logo?
I mean, we're talking about Temple, man. I got to channel a little bit of Allen Iverson. Like, Temple athletics hasn't been relevant in a while, right? And like, I want them to be relevant. I was actually really loving going to some of the basketball games this last season, and I had hyped them early on, even though they were Jekyll and Hyde, because I thought they had the potential to make the tournament for the first time since 2019, and they just sorely disappointed me. But I think one of their senior athletic directors, Scott Walcott, said it best: "We're not in the '90s anymore." And you're right, Scott, because in the '90s, Temple basketball was relevant and successful. And you can rebrand a logo, but you can't rebrand success. And I think it's just one of those things where the image is one thing and the athletics are another.
Yeah, I like the logo. I feel like it's fresh, it's sharp, and it just takes us. I was watching a little bit of a documentary that the university had posted on its Twitter page, and it's moving from that like cartoonish owl that they've used for a long time, and then it's got this new like sleek, like intense owl. So I like it.
Almost like it's an eagle.
Ah, the birds. I like that, John. All right. Before we head out for the weekend, I want to talk about a feel-good story of the week. And it's been a while since we've had one of these. But I saw an article in Billy Penn this week, and there is a new exhibit down at Cherry Street Pier that highlights the city's past history and its connections to baseball history with the Negro leagues and other baseball history over the past years. Brian, you're the co-producer of this exhibit along with your other co-producer, who's a University of Arts alum, Caroline Quick. Tell us, what's been your inspiration behind this installation?
Sure. We focus on 4 people in particular: Octavius Catto, Ed Bolden, Dick Allen, and Monet Davis. And some people might know those names. Some people may learn about their stories for the first time, but they're all what we consider barrier breakers. They've all overcome amazing challenges and have gone on to do some really incredible things. So they're a real inspiration for the city and people that live here. I think there's stories that need to be told so that we can rise further in the future. Each of them kind of built off of each other. And if folks don't know about them, I encourage you to go check it out down at Cherry Street Pier before August 24th when we close. But it's the legacy of the Negro Leagues here in Philadelphia. So it talks about starting teams, owning teams, playing, overcoming the color barrier, starting the color barrier back with Octavius Catto. So it's a real amazing stories, and I hope everyone gets a chance to go see it.
Yes, and it's free. It's a self-guided tour, and it runs through August 24th. I've said this too on the podcast before. Octavius Catto is probably one of my favorite Philadelphians, and he was instrumental with creating one of Philadelphia's first baseball teams, right?
The second Black baseball team, but certainly one of the earliest and one of the best. The Pythians, Philadelphia Pythians.
Nice. All right. Jason, Isaac, Brian, and John, thank you all so much for joining me this week on CityCast Philly.
Thank you, Trinae.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's time for the tip of the week, where we share a life hack for living in Philly. This week, I wanted to give you, our loyal listeners, a heads up. Join the CityCast Philly team for a live podcast taping and mixer to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. It'll be after work at the Indy Hall Co-working Clubhouse on Wednesday, August 30th. I'm so excited to meet you and to keep bringing you interviews that help us all feel more connected to Philly. To RSVP for this event, click the link in our show notes. We can't wait to see you there. If you have a tip of the week, we'd love to hear from you too. Call or text us at 215-259-8170. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Our lead producer is Laura Benchoff. Our producers are Abby Fritz and Elizabeth Kama. Our Hey Philly newsletter editors are Brittany Valentine and Natalie Aldana. And our host is me, Trinae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from All the Kimonos and James Weldon. If you enjoyed this week of episodes and today's episode, tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Philly. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend. It's the first Friday of the month. Be safe, y'all. Bye.